All right, YouTube, I got this brush pile and someone needs it hauled away from their yard. You can see I got some bushes and tree limbs and just big logs they've piled up here at the end of the driveway. I've This is probably the most common call I get for all the hauling junk removal calls I get is our brush piles. As you see as the video goes on here, I'm going to show you the process I use to maximize the space of my trailer and to get this brush pile loaded as efficiently as possible. If anyone's ever hauled a brush pile, they know it's not always the most fun, especially if you're doing it by hand. When I first started many years ago, I never had this machine. I never had the Grapple. I did all these by hand. I'd load them onto a tarp and drag them out up to my trailer and then hand load it back into the trailer. So this machine's making a huge difference, making the job a lot easier, and definitely gets the brush pile out a lot quicker. You can be limited sometimes in the spring and rainy seasons when the yard's really wet, that getting this machine across some yards, but at that point you got to put plywood down. But also you got to kind of calculate, is it a small little pile compared to, do I put a bunch of plywood down, or do you just start dragging it out by hand? So every once in a while I'll get one and have to do it by hand now, but it doesn't happen very often. I tell the customer up front, if I can't get my machine to it may not happen. So, but or if they want to, they can get it to the driveway or to the street, and that makes it a lot easier, and actually makes it cheaper for the customer to have it at the curb or on their driveway, because just for this reason, I can use my machine to load it and pick it up, load it, and it just goes faster. It's a lot faster process. So, and typically they're always in the backyard, way far away from where you can get a truck and trailer to it. So I hauled so many brush piles out of people's backyards, and so you're seeing the evolution of a brush pile removal right here. Oh my goodness. But they're good money. I get lots of calls for them, so I'm gonna keep doing them. And especially now that I can do them with this mini skid steer and the Grapple, this makes it a huge difference. And just the fact that I can use the machine, the force of the machine, to pack it in to the trailer, I can get, what I used to be maybe a pickup truck or 2 pickup truck loads in here. I can double that now, get 3, 4, 5 pickup truck loads, and still get my truck and trailer, or I'm sorry, get my machine on there. So that's why this mini skid steer is so beneficial on so many different jobs, especially a job like this where I'm trying to get a decent sized brush pile out. This is a pretty small one in comparison to most I get, but as you see it getting loaded there and smashed down, it definitely makes a huge difference having that machine. Now, some of you may ask, now, why don't you ever use a chipper on your jobs? Well, 1, I don't own a chipper, and 2, I can't really bring a chipper along with my trailer and my machine. So this is the best option I have. And honestly, most brush piles, stick piles, this one looks pretty fresh, like they just cut these branches down off a tree. But most brush piles I haul, they've been sitting there typically for at least a year, if not longer. Some of them have been there for, multiple years, 5, 10 years. So they start breaking down, decomposing, and they're not really, yeah, I'm sure you could run it through a chipper, but it would be hard to get all that material through. A chipper is great for freshly cut tree limbs, and as you see with this one too, there's big logs, there's landscape, yard debris, bushes. So doesn't mean it can't go through a chipper, but it's not really ideal. And that's kind of the calls I get and like to do, are jobs where I can use this, use my grapple with my mini skid steer to pick them up and load them. And just, especially like on this job, the customer even had way back, if you look back where those trees are in the back, that tree line, there was about, I'd say at least my dump truck size worth of big firewood logs that the customer had a tree cut down several years ago, and the tree company left the logs back there thinking they were going to cut them up in firewood. But when they're 500 feet from your house, you're not going to go back there and mess with them. They eventually just started rotting out. But I gave that customer a price on getting rid of those, but they weren't really interested in taking those out at the time, so I'll probably get those another day.